Hello, welcome to Ethos Lesson 2.0. Today's lesson will be on 1. Recalling Aristotle's rhetorical triangle, 2. Definition of ethos, 3. Example of automatic credibility, 4. Example of establishing credibility, and 5. Writing about ethos. Aristotle firmly asserts that a great speaker or writer uses all three appeals: ethos, logos, and pathos. Think of it as a three-legged stool. The stool needs all three legs in order to serve its purpose. Today, we will look closely at how writers use ethos to persuade their audience. Ethos is a writer's ability to reinforce or establish credibility and trust with their audience. As a writer, you either have automatic credibility, which makes you an expert on the topic or you're well-known or admired, or you're establishing credibility. You're not an expert on the topic, and maybe you're not well-known or admired. As critical thinkers, we must analyze the relationship between writer and audience in order to understand how the writer uses specific rhetorical strategies as a form of persuasion. Let's look at automatic credibility. The speaker is former Senator John McCain, who wrote a farewell letter after he decided to end his cancer treatment in 2018. His purpose is to provide his audience, all Americans, with a sense of perseverance during a time of dissent in our country. I want you to pause the video and write one reason why Senator McCain has automatic credibility with his audience. One reason is he is a senator for over 20 years. Another is that he served in the military during the Vietnam War, where he was captured and tortured for over 5 years. I am now going to read the excerpt of his letter and then discuss how his automatic credibility helps him achieve his purpose. 10 years ago, I had the privilege to concede defeat in the election for president. I want to end my farewell to you with the heartfelt faith in Americans that I felt so powerfully that evening. I feel it powerfully still. Do not despair of our present difficulties, but believe always in the promise and greatness of America, because nothing is inevitable here. Americans never quit. We never surrender. We never hide from history. We make history. Farewell, fellow Americans. God bless you, and God bless America. McCain reinforces his credibility through his role as senator and previous Vietnam vet. He embodies hard work and perseverance. The audience is encouraged to follow in his footsteps with great courage and never quit, never surrender, while we overcome division in our country. Notice how I connected his automatic credibility with the effect it has on his audience. This is what you should be able to do, which is your analysis and line of reasoning, or LOR. Let's look at establishing credibility. The speaker is Maria Stewart, an African-American educator and writer who gave a lecture in Boston in 1832. The purpose for her lecture is to convince her audience, all white women, that indentured slavery prevents African Americans from having social mobility. I want you to pause the video and write one reason why Stewart needs to establish credibility with her audience. One reason is, during this time, slaves were dehumanized to the extent that white people did not see them as human beings capable of reasoning. Another reason is possibly during this time, women were very subservient, right? So they didn't really have power. I will now read the excerpt of her lecture, and then we can discuss how Stewart built her credibility to achieve her purpose. Again, it was asserted that we were a ragged set crying for liberty. I replied to it, the whites have so long and so loudly proclaimed the theme of equal rights and privileges that our souls have caught the flame also, ragged as we are. As far as our merit deserves, we feel a common desire to rise above the condition of servants and drudges. I have learned by bitter experience that continual hard labor deadens the energies of the soul and benumbs the faculties of the mind. The ideas become confined, the mind barren, and like the scorching sands of Arabia, produces nothing, or like the uncultivated soil, brings forth thorns and thistles. Stewart establishes her credibility through the shared value of social mobility. She argues that African Americans also want to better their lives as stated in the Constitution. They too long for equality and be able to rise above servants and drudges. This challenges the audience's beliefs about slaves as unable to reason and forces them to rethink the damaging consequences of slavery. Notice how I connected her establishing credibility with the effect it has on her audience. This is what you should be able to do, and which is part of your analysis and line of reasoning.